This is the transcript of Last Action Hero commentary, which was a script doctored by Carrie Fisher. It was released in 1993, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. And this is a voice-only transcript that I'll just be uploading to YouTube because it takes too fucking long to type it all, and I'd rather write something myself. So, all right, I'm going to hopefully play the DVD player and the photo booth at the same time, and my computer won't crash. Let's find out. All right. Last Action Hero. Start with the Columbia logo. It's a red-haired woman in a toga holding a torch. It says Columbia. Just describe everything I sort of see and feel while I'm watching a film, and that helps me understand it better. Helps me write better, too. So there's some cops showing up to a scene, and they're running it. There's a ton of them. There's like at least a dozen cops, cars, all lined up. Oh, it looks like a hostage situation. There's a building with searchlights, and there's SWAT teams running up, and everyone is aiming guns, it looks like, at the roof. And they're panning along as the cops are getting ready. They're all surrounding this building, which has a Christmas tree on top of it, and there's a helicopter above. And then there's a black cop. He says, "This is one hell of a way to spend Christmas." Secure the sidewalk. No one in or out. Oh my god, and they're shooting all the cop cars. What the hell is going on? All the cop cars are getting shot. Did any of the cops get shot? It doesn't look like it. The black cop is looking up. Ah, somebody threw a gun over the roof. Up, and there's a dead SWAT team member they just threw over the roof too. Whoa, it says Lincoln Elementary School. Oh my god, it's a hostage situation at an elementary school, and the black chief is yelling, and somebody's walking over the cop car, and he has boots on like a cowboy. I assume this is Arnold showing up to the scene finally. There's snakeskin cowboy boots. We see his belt buckle, and he has a cigar in his mouth, because that's just not phallic enough for the gay dudes who love him. Oh, and the chief is yelling his name, Slater. And the black cop is yelling at him. He looks like he's just going to walk into the elementary school. He's not listening to his supervisor, which is probably against procedure. And he's not wearing a uniform. Is that Tina Turner? It looks like her. Oh my god, he just punched a guy in the face for no reason. And the black cop is saying, "Don't let him in." That's the corniest joke I've ever heard in my life. Here's a couple of acres. Okay, he's got a big gun. How many dicks can we put in this man's mouth and hands? Is the screenwriter's goal here. Okay, kicks down a door to the roof. There's a bunch of kids. Oh, it's his kid. His kid says, "Dad." Oh, and there's a scary guy with a raincoat, and he's bald with long hair. And he has like an axe, and he looks crazy. He says, "Lose the cannon," probably meaning the gun. I don't see an actual cannon. Oh, it was somebody that he locked up. Ew, what does he mean things crawling around on his head and sitting on his chest? Does he mean other inmates or like rodents? He's saying, lose the gun, and he's threatening the dude's kid with an axe. Come on, this dude looks crazy. Don't be a fool, Arnold, or Slater, whatever the hell your name is. I think this is yet another movie where his Austrian accent is unexplained. And it doesn't matter, just because... Well, but that movie, the point of this movie is to sort of like highlight the sort of absurdity of what he did in like the early 90s. This like, you know, action star, and then he was like governor and stuff. So it's like we have these images of people that sell a movie. Oh my God, he's taking like 1 million guns out of his clothes. That about does it, he says. Yeah, right. Come on, you got more guns on you, Arnold. Cough them up. And the crazy guy's like, you better give me all your guns. Oh, he has a hand grenade. Holy shit. What? No. And he throws it at the guy's feet. Your kid is right there, you idiot. You just threw a hand grenade at your child. You're the worst negotiator ever. Oh, but the crazy guy's flattered. He's got some like yellow color contacts on to make him seem even crazier, and like chainmail. Oh my God, he's telling the kid to pick up the hand grenade, and he says, show it to me. Wait, has anybody pulled the pin yet? I don't think so. Well, the guy's like yellow eyes and the Christmas lights and the axe and everything. Like everything looks really cool. Oh my God, there's a knife in it. There's a knife in the hand grenade and the kid stabbed him. Go kid. Ah, and then he throws the axe and Arnold dodges the axe because it's a movie. And then he shoots at the guy in the raincoat and looks like he's fallen over the edge. Oh, and it pans out and we're actually watching a movie and there's one kid in the movie theater and he's like, hey, yelling at the projectionist, hey, go and focus. And then the old guy at the counter smoking a cigarette is like, nah. Oh, it's like an old broken down movie theater that this kid is seeing a movie in. And he's like, Nick, which is the guy's name who's like the projectionist. And there's like graffiti all over the walls. It looks like it used to be a really like old, cool, opulent movie house with like cool wallpaper and carpeting and stuff. And it's like just a dilapidated piece of shit now. Okay, he found Nick. Nick fell asleep with the newspaper while he was supposed to be running the movie for the kid, who was his only customer of the day. Come on, Nick. Learn how to run a business better. Your movie theater looks like shit. Oh, and the movie's over. Good job, Nick. He said, I never used to do that, Danny. I guess the kid's name is Danny. He said he's just seen it for the 6th time. Wow, this kid's a fan. He is a stan, as we would say today. He killed the second cousin. Big mistake. The kid is so excited. He loves this movie. It's his favorite. Oh, and this old man is inviting him to a private screening at midnight. I think this kid has a single mom in this movie, but, like kids today should be wary of offers like that. Oh, the kid was skipping school, and this guy was letting him to see an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. This is an inappropriate relationship no matter what. Oh, and he loves the girl in the movie who plays his daughter. He's like, all like, that's cute. And it's raining outside, and it's like a real city, so like people are mean and fighting, and nothing is pretty or cool like it was in the movie. So it's no wonder that this kid goes to movies all the time to sort of lose himself. Angela Lansbury is now talking to a class. Looks like she is his teacher. Is this Angela Lansbury or no? But she looks like a lady like that. She's like an old lady. Oh, and they're watching like a Shakespeare film, and the kid's like bored with it, and he's 4 hours late for school. And he's like doing Shakespeare, and the kids are laughing. And this kid loves watching movies, and he's like, he can barely stay awake. Like, he wants Arnold to show up and like shoot him in the face. And this is like, Shakespeare was bloody violent all the time. And this kid's like, yeah, somebody's going to stab somebody. Don't talk, just do it. The kid is like just encouraging this dude to stab somebody. And yeah, now he's imagining Arnold, who has a cigar in his mouth again. Does he say, big mistake? That's his catchphrase in this. And then there's a very fake scream as he throws him out the stained glass window. This kid stands Arnold so hard, he wants him to star in Hamlet. Like, Arnold would do such a better job than, Laurence Olivier or, Mel Gibson's Hamlet was actually pretty good. Yeah, you have to admit that if you understand Shakespeare and film and stuff. Yeah, and he's like, there's explosions in the castle in Denmark and stuff. In this kid's imagination, he's watching a Wile E. Coyote cartoon because he loves explosions. Maybe he's a little bit of a pyromaniac or something. I mean, I like Wile E. Coyote too, but I don't want things to explode. So we can't really blame that. And his mom's on the phone with the school because he missed school to go to the movies again. His mom is saying, you better have a good excuse for missing school. She's like, you were at the movies again, weren't you? Damn it, Danny. She's mad at him because he wants her to lie to the principal and say he had a doctor's appointment or something. And she's pissed off at him. And I would be too. She says, give me a hug because she loves him, even though she's a single working mom and she's doing her best, and he just wants to go to a fantasy world that he likes. And there's a Hollywood sign in the background. Their tiny apartment. She says, lock the top lock as soon as I leave. She looks like she's going to work at night. It's 11:05 p.m. There's a sign behind his head that says, fire exit only, open door sound. Sounds alarm. He's drinking a Coke at 11:30 at night, and his mom told him not to go out, and he closes his math book, puts on his sneakers, takes his keys, turns off Arsenio Hall, because this is the 90s, puts on a jacket, unlocks the door. Somebody from his hallway almost saw him sneak out. But no, he wants to go to this midnight showing that this old man invited him to. Because this is the early 90s before we really learned about stranger danger. Which, honestly, the internet made it worse. Holy shit, there's a guy there with a knife robbing him! This isn't like a movie. This sucks. Oh, this poor kid. A guy says, chain yourself to the drain. He's got a pair of handcuffs and a knife. And the guy turns around, he puts the knife on the sink. He's like, go ahead and stab me. But the kid's not brave enough. He's just like some junkie guy. The guy's mad. And he throws the key to the handcuff in the toilet. So, like, they had nothing for that guy to steal. He was a total dick anyway. And he goes to the police station still and reports it. And it's like 8 minutes to midnight. But this guy still went to the cops and reported the dude. As soon as he opened the door, something bad happened. I mean, he was fine, but this is the real world and people suck. People suck in movies too, because art reflects life, but, you know, writers are the ones who have control over that. They're just often the least paid. Like, I wonder how much Carrie Fisher made versus Arnold Schwarzenegger on this. I mean, she doctored the script. She didn't write the whole script, but I like this movie. This is a good movie, and she had a lot to do with that. Okay, the old man's there, and he's wearing his tuxedo. It was raining out, so the kid's like soaking wet when he comes in with his long 90s haircut. And the guy's got like a uniform on from like the 1930s with like a little bellhop hat, like he's Jerry Lewis or something. He always wanted to be a magician, he says. Oh, this could go so many ways, but this kid is going to get a magic movie ticket. Because I've seen this before. I don't know. Spoiler alert. Hopefully you have too. Still showbiz, the guy says. Even though he's just selling the tickets. Oh, this guy just likes the kid because they both love movies. He's like, I've got just the ticket for you. So there's graffiti on in the background that says CF, but it's backwards. I wonder why. And the guy does like a magician's trick, and there's a big golden ticket that he just took out of his pocket. It's a magic ticket, he says. He says it's a passport to another world. Now it's yours. And now it's yours. And he hands it to the kid. He's like, what's it do, Nick? He said he never had the courage to find out. So he's going to send a 13-year-old kid. What if it did work, he says. What if it did, says the kid. You never know until you find out. He said this ticket has a mind of its own. It does what it wants to do. And that always made me just a little edgy. I guess there's only one way to find out then, right? Says the kid. That's right, kid. I like his attitude anyway. He says, please retain your stubs, sir. He's so professional, and he wants the kid to have like a real old movie house experience. This is actually quite adorable. People today would take it totally the wrong way, though. This you can't get away with this after like 94, 95. This is a Franco Colombo film. Arnold Schwarzenegger blasts through concrete, and Meredith Caprice is the girl he likes. He's so excited, and he has popcorn, the kid in the audience. Jack Slater, 4. So this is the fourth sequel of this movie within a movie called Jack Slater, the character that Arnold plays. And he has like a beautiful cliff beachside mansion. No, I think this is the bad guy. Yeah. There's an old man with like a Hawaiian shirt saying something to Frank, who's like an old man who he's been beating up and is tied up with a rope. He's like, you're Jack Slater's favorite second cousin. So everybody's always trying to hurt Jack Slater's family. And there's like a target on a little flag behind the guy's head, the second cousin's head, while the guy in the Hawaiian shirt yells at him. Something about all the drugs in Southern California. Oh, he's talking about guns. Oh, there's a reason for that target. The guy who's the actual villain shot at him from across the whole swimming pool, and he's got red hair and a beard and a very long gun. And that guy has a bullseye glass eye in his eyeball. He's like, sometimes he likes to bake while he's shooting people. He's like, Benedict can take you out as easy as cake. And then Benedict's like, pie, you idiot. He says Benedict is a surgeon with that giant phallic gun. The poor second cousin says he swears he doesn't know. And Benedict is in a white linen suit. And it seems like the guy in the Hawaiian shirt is like, he thinks that I'm conspiring with some other dude, and that's totally not true. Like honest people talk. And there's a beautiful view of the California coastline and flowers and columns and stuff behind him, very opulent looking. Oh, the kid's watching. He's like, you are gonna pay. Ooh, you're gonna pay. And then Arnold is driving in his convertible towards something that's like a crack house, and there's two younger cops in uniforms running up to the house as he's getting out of his Corvette in his snakeskin cowboy boots. This guy never changes his outfit because he's like a superhero. He's wearing the same jeans, orange shirt, and leather jacket. And believe me, in California, you don't need a leather jacket. Oh, and he has groceries. He's like his second cousin Frank lives in there. They said they received an anonymous tip that it's a crack house. At his second cousin's house, that the guy was just beaten up. And the number is 1103 on the house. I don't know if that matters either. He opens up the door. He's like, Frank. Frank is tied up. He says, Jack, listen to me. This is important. Tony Vivalli is in something with the mob, and they're joining forces. And he says, I'm out of here, and he dies. That's a very convenient death. And he closes his eyes because that's totally easy to do as soon as somebody dies. And There's a note that says Slater pinned to his shirt. It says 5, 4, 3, 2. It's a bomb! And the house explodes and the cars explode and everything around them explodes because the kid says both the cops are dead, but Arnold's fine. Jack is fine. Whatever his name is. Kid like, I knew it. Yep, there's a cop in a tree. 2 days to retirement, says the cop in the tree, and he dies. That's very sad. And Arnold gets up, and there is a truck, like a vintage red pickup truck full of bad guys. They're all wearing black, so they must be bad guys. And they're shooting machine guns at him in his convertible. And the cop cars are getting shot that are upside down and on fire already, but they can't ever seem to hit Arnold. And they have like a Wile E. Coyote style dynamite box, and they're throwing dynamite into his convertible and just like letting the dynamite explode on the road if it like bounces off. And it always does because no bullets or anything ever actually hit him. Oh, and the movie ticket is starting to like glow. And Arnold shoots the dynamite with the gun and it explodes. Oh, and it just came through the movie screen. Holy shit! The kid's like, what? He has popcorn falling out of his mouth. And he says, Nick? Hello? There's dynamite rolling down the aisle? And he puts his popcorn over it so that puts out the fuse, but oh, nope, it exploded. And the kid looks up at palm trees and he's in the back of the convertible in the movie. Whoa, and Arnold just shot in his general direction. He's like, don't shoot me. Oh my God. And the red pickup truck full of bad guys is still following and shooting with machine guns. There's like 4 of them hanging off the truck, chasing his green convertible. Arnold was like, to the kid, how'd you get here? The kid's like, I don't know. And he's like, close your eyes, stay flat, and don't move. And the kid's like realizing that he's in the movie. And he's not driving with his hands. He's He's like, how do you drive without your hands? He says, it's easy if you practice a lot and never ever do it in heavy traffic. And the guy just got an ice cream cone to the back of his head. He said something about brain freeze. Oh my God. And the kid's like, this is really happening. He's putting it all together. Ah, there's dynamite in front of him. And he's grabbing around, trying to grab the dynamite out of the back of the car so that it doesn't explode the car. And there's a gas truck that he goes up on 2 wheels, gets the wick out of the dynamite just in time, and the car goes, and he puts another tape in the tape player because this is the 90s. See, a tape was a thing that played music like a phone does now. And they just drove off a bridge because more bad guys were shooting at them. And the kid is screaming silently as the car is flying into a ravine, which is dry. Oh, no, there's some water, but they're still driving through a ravine because it wouldn't be an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie without somebody driving through a ravine. And there is a black minivan following him now. And then the red pickup truck is still up there. They all want to kill this guy, but he keeps getting away. Bullets never hit him. And his convertible, oh, there's a Coke advertisement. And the kid's eyes are crossing because this is really scary because he's from the real world and shit like this doesn't normally happen. And he bounces off of the top of the Coke truck. He's like, I thought I was going to die. Then the minivan flips over and explodes behind them. Oh, he just said something about premature ejaculation. Is this PG-13? Yeah. That's what the DVD box said. DVDs were things that you could watch movies on, like tablets are now, for those of you who were not from the 90s. And then he goes to some pink building. He's like, this is a movie set. The kid has said, this is a movie set. He's like, that's how the scenery changed. And the guy doesn't know what he's talking about because he doesn't know that he's in a movie. This is just his life. The character in the movie doesn't know that it's a movie. And he's playing chicken with the red pickup truck now in Beverly Hills. I can tell you from personal experience that the Beverly Hills cops would not let them get away with this. You tie a sign to the tree there, and they call the cops on you. So read my blog. Okay, they're playing chicken, and of course Arnold wins because movie. And one of the guys flies off the truck as the truck explodes in midair for no reason. And inside are a bunch of sexy girls in sexy clothing that the red pickup truck just flew into. And there are girls in bras and panties and like stripper outfits, basically. The guy on fire puts himself out in a fountain. Kid says, holy cow, I'm in a movie, as Arnold lights another cigar on his last dynamite stick that was on fire into a dumpster that had some legs sticking out of it, and there's a Baskin Robbins 31 ice cream advertisement. The Los Angeles Police Department seal is what he's driving around now, and he just like parks his car. Oh, there's a valet, of course, because it is LA. There's like people from all kinds of movies in this police department, because it seems like the worlds sort of like intermingle, and all the women are in stripper outfits. And they're like, hey, your ex-wife is online too. And he picks the kid up by the collar and puts him down. He says, it's so nice to hear your voice to his ex-wife. And takes out a tape that says the shrew, and he puts that on a tape recorder so that just says, yep, over and over. Is that a Taming of the Shrew reference? But it's also kind of like sexist? Gotcha. How do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice. Oh, and it's F. Murray Abraham. And he's in like the FBI. And he's like making fun of him for eating donuts. He was like, he killed Mozart. The kid said. And he's talking about Amadeus. At least this kid likes good movies too. And the black chief of police is yelling at Arnold so loud that his window shattered, and he's yelling at all times. And he's like, I'm just doing my job. And the kid's looking at the golden movie ticket in his wallet as the black chief is yelling at Arnold. And there's a cartoon cat that just pinched some woman's ass. And he's like, I'm getting a flea bath later. Join me? That is kind of gross. There's a cartoon cat. He's trying to prove to this guy that this is a movie. He's like, shut up, kid. And it's like an animated cat just walked into the squad room. He's like, whatever. And the chief is defending the cat's police work when he just pinched a woman's ass. He would get fired in a second for that today. And also, yeah, he's a cartoon cat. Like the kid is saying to these people. And he knows everything about their lives. And they're freaking out. How does this kid know this? Because they don't know they're in a movie. Aw, the kid says you're my dearest friend. Oh, well, the chief had said that Jack is his dearest friend. But it was in the movie, so the kid knows. And, the chief doesn't want anybody to know about his vulnerabilities. And now they're interrogating the kid because he knows so much about their lives, and he's trying to explain he's from the real world. And now he's making up a story like he's in the movie just to chill them out because they're... Might as well move the movie along, right? The kid knows a lot about what's going on, and he wants to explain his fan theories, and they're like, you're a kid, shut up. But the chief wants the kid to be his partner. Because let's hire some random homeless 13-year-old who fell into your car. And he keeps picking him up like luggage. He's like, they would have just sent me to a social worker in a real world. He's still trying to prove it's a movie. No one likes a smartass, says Arnold. Because he's like, then shoot me. He wants him to shoot him. I dare you. You're not going to do it, are you? Because people like you don't kill kids in movies. You're the good guy. Arnold says, you really believe you're inside a movie? He's like, I'll prove that it's not a movie. And he goes up the side that says, do not enter, because he's nuts. And he drives over the divider, making somebody crash. He's the worst cop ever. And Arnold Schwarzenegger doesn't exist in this world because he's Jack Slater in this world. And Terminator 2 has Sylvester Stallone on the movie poster. And the kid's like, no, this isn't possible. And Arnold's like, he's great in this. He's like, no, wait, that was you. And some sexy girl's like, you're in a movie? And he's like, yes. And it was called The Girl of My Dreams, and it starred you. And he's like hitting on this random woman. The kid's like, everyone has 555 phone numbers. Eight or 9 million people live in LA, so how can everyone's number start with 555? The kid's getting really frustrated. He's like, Arnold's like, this is a mental patient I'm taking care of. I feel for this kid so much. And he's like, this girl's way too attractive to be working at a video store. And he's like, yeah, she should be working with us. He's like, there are no unattractive women here. Yeah, and like every woman's dressed like a stripper. He's like, no, this is California. No, but where are the homeless people is what I want to know. This isn't all Beverly Hills. He says, I'll take you to the house where your cousin Frank was tortured. I saw it on the screen. And now they're driving through the Hollywood Hills looking for the mansion where they killed his cousin. And he shows him the magic ticket that got him into the movie. And the kid's like trying to get the magic ticket to work. But like, how do you... He's like, the bad guys are in there. He gives him his badge. He says he doesn't think he's earned it yet. He's like, you just revolutionized the entire history of police training. He's being super sarcastic because he doesn't believe that the bad guys are in that house. But he's like, just go and check and see if the bad guys are in that house. And he's like, the bad guys are in there, he says incredulously with his Austrian accent that nobody ever explains. Is Slater an Austrian name? I doubt it, but it doesn't matter in a movie like that. The gate is just open in this mansion. Yeah, right. And there's a statue and like a fountain, and there's a large Asian man who enters the door and kind of a racist Asian-y sounding xylophone in the background. And then the guy laughs and closes the door. The kid's like, wait, where are you going? I'll be back, he says. Hey, you didn't think I was going to say that, did you? And the kid's like, that's what you always say. The kid says, everybody keeps waiting for you to work it in. It's like your calling card. That kind of seems like a Carrie Fisher line. He says, this guy has a glass eye because Benedict just showed up. And he has a neck tattoo, too. He says, take off your sunglasses. And he shows him his badge. He says, the Tin Man. He said, what arterial red suits you? And there's 6 Rottweilers behind them, meaning he will have the dogs attack him. Oh, and he snaps his fingers and they do a pyramid. Wow. He's like, the dogs can eat you and shit you out, or you can take your kid and go. Calls him Toto. And Arnold's lighting a cigar while he's talking to him, so I can't really understand what he's saying. He's like, how are you going to snap your fingers if I rip off both of your thumbs? Cops can't threaten people like that. Oh, and his glass eye has a smiley face today. Because he can switch out the glass eye. But it's not really a glass eye. It's actually just a color contact with a smiley face on it. Because glass eyes don't move. And he just like moved the smiley face. So, but there was like a glass-like sound when he blinked. So that implies... Oh, and Arnold just ran over one of his columns. Just to be a dick. He's like, how did that kid find out? And Benedict comes in to the guy in the Hawaiian shirt is yelling. He wants to have the kid killed. And then Slater. And he knows something is up. And he says, we should change the funeral arrangements. Meaning, don't kill him just yet. Let me find out more about Slater's young friend. He's like, that guy's got to be guilty of something. And he's like, yeah, he's guilty of acting like an asshole. Good line. Patience wearing thin. It's like a big pickup truck with flames on it, and he says, that's my little girl's car. He's like, your ex-wife's not home. Her name's not in the credits. And the beautiful girl kisses him as soon as he opens the door. She says, you're not skeezy, are you? She says, Daddy. And he picks her up, even though she's only wearing a white robe. And that's supposed to be his daughter. And the kid's like, everything's going to be downhill from here. Arnold says he's not cute, he's hopelessly insane. He says, this is her first movie. She says she kissed the kid because it's a sorority thing. When a freshman comes to the door, you have to kiss him. He looks through some counterfeit money that he has, and he sees a picture of his son, and he puts that away because it's sad. And he looks off into the distance because he's thinking about his son. He's like, you don't happen to have a cigar, do you? And the kid's like, no, I'm 13. With his looks. He doesn't actually say that. The kid says he knows about the son. Arnold is driving and thinking about his dead son and the bad guy who threw the axe at him that he dodged. And this is in black and white because it's a memory. And then he shoots the bad guy who pulls his son over the roof. And they both fall off. It's like, why did they build an elementary school that high anyway? And wherever Arnold goes, there's always light right on his eyes. He's like Morticia Addams. Then there's another flashback, which is in black and white, and he tries to grab and save his son. he looks at the picture and he knows everything about what happened with the son, and the daughter's like, how did you know all that? And he's like, oh, I read the papers. I'm interested in crime stories. And that's a lie. Holy shit! Benedict and a bunch of people, bad guys with guns, have shown up, and he says, hello, Toto, because that's his new name now. And Benedict says for the bad guys to search everything, and the daughter is screaming, get the fuck off me, and they got her hostage. She's struggling and screaming, and the kid's like, whatever, and they look in his wallet. Oh, the kid is like trying to stand up for the girl, but you're a little kid against 20 fucking guys with guns. And he's like, if you harm a hair on her head, and then he goes over, plucks a hair off her head, and tears it in half. And he's like, now what? That's kind of cool. He's got on like a red monster eye right now. But again, you can tell it's a color contact because it keeps moving. If it was a glass eye, it wouldn't move because there's no connection to an ocular nerve in a glass eye. He says, I know your name is Daniel Madigan, but how do you know my name? He said, Slater showed me some mugshots. He's making up lies to cover up the fact that he's from the real world and he's in a movie. He's like, how do you know what I said on Vivaldi's Terrace? Guy says, I've killed people smarter and younger than you. He knows the kid's lying, making up stories, saying I knew everything about you because there were cameras and microphones in the statues and shit. And he's like, there's some money in the desk, just take it and leave us alone. It's counterfeit money that Arnold has. Old evidence. Which, again, would be highly illegal. Don't take evidence home. I mean, I'm no lawyer, but the guy looks at it. He's like, these bills are marked, aren't they? Meaning counterfeit. He's like, you tried to sucker me with marked bills. He says, burn it. Yeah, he doesn't need the money. He's like a criminal. He burns it. And Arnold drives up, and that's how he knows something's up, is there is red smoke coming out of the chimney. And then the daughter is screaming and getting smacked around, and she says, big mistake, and she kicks the guy in the balls so hard that he flips over on her shelf, and she's like beating the shit out of him, and it's really cool. And she's screaming like she's getting hurt, but she's beating the fuck out of him, and she has a gun. I bet all of this is Carrie's additions here. I'm just saying. That's what it seems like to me. Wow. And she's got one of the bad guy's guns, and she's pointed it right at the guy's head. The daughter saved the day. Her name is Whitney in the movie. And somebody dropped a gun, and he's like, leave it, get the door. Oh, and it's the guy she was actually supposed to get kissed, the nerdy little guy with his lips puckered. That's so sad. And Arnold shows up by bursting through the skylight and shoots everyone, and no bullets ever hit him. because it's a movie. And he pulls a cord out of a lamp and electrocutes some guy on the arm, and that makes him shoot the other guy. And then the kid makes Benedict roll over, and there's one of the bad guys shooting through the wall, and there's smoke everywhere, and ouch, Arnold grabs the barrel of the gun. That must be really hot. Don't guns heat up when you shoot them? I've never shot a gun, I don't know, but he would burn himself. It's a movie. And then the kid has the knife that the guy was threatening him with. And the kid can't be brave enough to do all the things that Arnold's doing, like bashing a guy's head through the wall and stuff. And he gets shot right in the chest, but he's probably wearing Kevlar. The kid's like, Jack, because he thought he got hurt. But no. He says, don't leave home without it. And Benedict got away. And he looks at the bruise on his daughter's face. He's like, I got to catch the red eye. And he jumps off of the balcony and rolls off of the roof like he's a gymnast. The kid finds a little girl's bike. Like a little pink bike with tassels on it. That's so cute. A little pink basket. And he's trying to join the chase. And Arnold's in his convertible chasing the bad guy. Oh, wait. Nope. He's just there and he's shooting at the bad guy's convertible. But the bad guy can't die yet because we're not at that part of the movie. He's like, next time we'll get thicker armor. A tank. Oh, did the bad guy get shot? Maybe. The kid is riding the little girl's bike and trying to catch up with Arnold. Uh-oh, who's coming? Is it Arnold or is it the bad guy? And the kid has a light on the little girl's bike and they're playing chicken. He's playing chicken on a little girl's pink bike with a car. Who might be the bad guy's car? He's like, this is gonna work. He's like, I'm a good guy. This has got to work. This kid's going to get hurt. He's like, I'm a comedy sidekick. Oh, shit. I'm a comedy sidekick. It's not going to work. Oh. Arnold always runs up, and the kid rides, like, there's like a full moon in the background, and the bike and everything is reminiscent of E.T. The kid falls, but he's not really hurt. Arnold looks down at him. He's like, I think I scared him pretty good. Good try, kid. He picks up the kid and the bike. And there's this giant, beautiful full moon and palm trees because everything's perfect. And Benedict is at home in his mansion, and there's a moose on the wall. Moose head, not a whole moose. Benedict is there with his gigantic cannon of a gun strapped to his shoulder, and he turns on a black and white movie, and he takes out his glass eye, which, again, a glass eye can't move around, and that's starting to bother me. And he has this like tree of spoons for all of his glass eyes, and he polishes the one that he just took out of his face, even though you can see that there's no eye socket there. There's an eye there. So this is suspend your disbelief. He takes the kid's wallet, which he still has, and the movie ticket is in there, and it starts to glow. And Benedict picks it up, and he's like looking at it with one of his, and he touches a wall, and the wall glows, like his hand almost goes through it. So he touches the wall again and thinks, what the hell is going on here? And the Twilight Zone theme is playing in the background. Perfect timing. And you hear Rod Serling saying, you're traveling to another dimension. And they're cleaning up all the dead bodies at Arnold's ex-wife's house, and he takes a cigar out of one of the body bags and sits there, like, very tired with a cigar in his mouth. And his hot daughter is there, just looking a bit traumatized, and the kid is like, this girl's really cute. What is he? He's taking out a marker and a notepad. And then he hands him a note. He says, say this. He says, grow up. And he says, just say this one word. He's like, is this another one of your movie proofs? He's like, I don't want to say it. Say what? You can't. Because this movie is PG-13, he wants him to say fuck. Ow, I just hit my knee on the table. My desk. Uh-oh. The glass eye was a bomb. Everything blew up. The whole house blew up. And Arnold and the kid are sitting there covered in dust like they just got out of the blown up house at the chief's office as he yells at him. Yells at both of them. Is this kid getting paid to be a cop? But there should be child labor laws even in movies. Come on. The chief has steam coming out of his ears, and he's saying, give me your badge. And this guy's got it. Oh, Arnold got fired, and he's packing up his desk, and he's sad, and the kid is sitting on his desk, and there's a woman dressed like a stripper, except she works there at the police station. Oh, and there's a guy in black and white at the police station. Looks like Humphrey Bogart, and everyone's stopping to watch him pack up his desk. F. Murray Abraham comes over, and he's like, talking about funerals. He looks at a trophy, a cop with a gun on it. And F. Murray Abraham's trying to be really positive about him getting fired, almost like he's happy about it. Considering the amount of stuff that was on his desk, that box is very small for all of his stuff. And he goes to his sad single guy apartment. The kid's like, where are we anyway? And he says, home. And it's like a completely empty apartment. Oh, and he shoots someone right away who is in the closet, and he opens the door, and a bad guy falls out. He's like, how do you know there's a guy in there? And he's like, there's always a guy in there. He's like, I've just spent a fortune on closet doors. He's like, I just got fired. And his closet is full of the same outfit, the same snakeskin boots, the same orange shirt, the same leather jacket, and the same jeans, and the same gun. That's like obsessive compulsive. Like Einstein used to do that. But he's just a superhero and he just wears the same thing every day. He looks out into the highway as his view. Because, like, even in movies, this is the apartment a cop can afford in LA. It's really not fair that cops don't get paid more. Like, we should give them more training and more schooling and pay them more and pay everyone more because then society would work better. Anyway, this kid is, like, still trying to convince Arnold that this is a movie. Oh, he's like, I have no life. This sucks. His job is his whole life, and he's lost it. he, he's sad because his daughter is more interested in uh, cleaning guns than going to prom, and he's afraid she's going to die a young maid. The kid's like, maybe we should look into the funeral thing that Vivaldi was talking about. Kid says hello, because this is the 90s. Oh, Arnold's figuring out that they're going to stuff a fat guy's dead body with dynamite and explode the whole funeral. That's what the bad guys are going to do. And the kid's like, there's already been a dozen explosions. They're not going to explode it. Nerve gas, he says. That he's Austrian, so that's his next guest is nerve gas. Leo Defarge is going to pass gas one more time. So he's like, no, he's not going to explode. He's going to fart everyone to death. Oh. And then the Italian guy from the mansion is there with Benedict. It's a rooftop funeral. Very nice. And there's nuns in big flying hats and women in black veils. And Benedict's still in a white linen suit. And then he pulls his finger, and that's what starts the watch. And there's like a little fart sound when he pulled his finger. So it is going to be nerve gas, like Arnold thought. And he's still doing detective work, even though he got fired from being a cop. And he just parked on the grass of a building. Like, do you know how fast you would get put in handcuffs for doing something like that in LA? Well, he is a white man, so he might get away with it. But everybody's walking to the funeral. There's limousines and stuff. He tells the kid, there's a gun in the glove compartment. You'll be fine. And there's like a ton of guns that fall out of the glove compartment. He left a 13-year-old boy with a glove compartment full of guns. It's going to go well. F. Murray Abraham is there. He's like, that explains the break-in at the mortuary. He's like, who you working for, John? He pulls up. F. Murray Abraham pulls out a gun, and there are golden trash cans behind him. He said, Danny told me not to trust you. Zod? He says, Mary Abraham says, I kill a lot of people. I can't remember half of them. Oh, and the kid has the gun on him. Good for you, kid. Except he just takes it from him because he's like, thanks for the fingerprints, kid. You're about to murder Jack Slater. He says, chain yourself to that pipe. This is the same situation he was in his bathroom. And he has the handcuff key that the guy left with him who tried to rob him but didn't want his stuff. And as the guy is explaining his evil plan, he takes the big gun from the guy and he's like, give me the cuffs. And the kid says, you made the classic movie mistake. Don't explain so much. You're the typical villain, dumb. And then the Italian guy has a golden gun. He's like, you're no genius yourself, kid. And Benedict is there. The Italian guy says he's got to go establish his alibi because he's one of the dumber villains in this movie. So he does really reveal quite a bit too. And the Italian guy says, make sure you stay here to Benedict. So Benedict actually works for Vivaldi was F. Murray Abraham. Oh, I forget what the Italian guy's name is, but there was... Oh, F. Murray Abraham is about to shoot both of them, but then somebody shoots him. It's the cartoon cat! Yes! The cartoon cat is smoking a cigarette. Oh, and it's the voice of Danny DeVito! He says, you saved my fur plenty of times. I love the cartoon cat, even though he pinched that woman's ass, and that's not right. She looked very upset by it. And somebody's flying around in a helicopter because this big fat guy is going to fart a bunch of nerve gas and kill a bunch of people. And that is exactly where Arnold is running to. But they're on a roof in LA. I mean, is that the best place to release nerve gas? And Arnold puts on a hat so no one recognizes him. The kid gets into a crane and he's like, I don't even know how to drive. And there's a bunch of levers and he's like, okay, I'll just try one. And that lowers the crane. He's like, no. The kid's trying to get the hang of a crane. This is actually reminiscent of Charlie Chaplin trying to get the hang of that chair gun in The Great Dictator. You should watch and read that one too, that transcript that I wrote too. And then Arnold is walking around and nobody recognizes him. Well, no, people are like, no, hey, I know you. He put a hat on so that people wouldn't recognize him, but a hat doesn't really disguise you. He goes up to the coffin. He's like, he was a good man, a flatulent man. Hear this? Help me! Get me out of here! He's like pretending that the guy's alive. He's like, he's not dead! And then he picks him up and he runs with the dead body as everyone's screaming. And the kid is getting the crane. Some guy stops him and says he's a doctor. He's like, check his chin, and then he knocks the doctor out with the guy. He said the doctor's fainted. Why doesn't he? He says, look, an elephant, so everybody looks the other way. Oh, and these are all bad guys. They would probably be in black anyway, even if this wasn't a funeral. They all take out guns. Oh, and then Arnold runs into the crane, which is drifting through the crowd and knocking people over because the kid does not know how to work a crane. But he's trying, damn it. Good for you, kid. And literally everyone has guns pointed at him, and he throws the dead body off the roof. Everyone's like, no! And the dead body got caught by the crane, and he punches someone, and like even an old grandma is taking a gun out of her purse, and everyone's going after him to shoot at him, and of course no bullets hit him because he is an action hero. And it's supposed to be ridiculous like that. This movie within a movie is sort of a parody of like all of Arnold's movies and like Lethal Weapon and stuff like that. Okay, Arnold is hanging from the building and he just shot through a glass ceiling. That kind of seems like a Carrie Fisher edition. And he's in an elevator, a glass elevator, and there's a bad guy helicopter pointing guns right at him in the glass elevator. He gets off at floor 14, and a bunch of bad guys are there, and they all get shot by the helicopter as Arnold ducks out of the way. And then the elevator closes, full of bullet holes. And he has his gun, and he's going to shoot right at the helicopter, and it's got crosshairs right in the middle of his forehead. And then the crane is coming because the kid's working that and sort of messes with the helicopter blades. And Arnold starts shooting at it, and no bullets that the helicopter is spewing end up hitting him. But the helicopter is now falling because the pilot's probably dead. And Arnold's hanging by the hanging glass elevator, and the piece that he's hanging on to falls. And in slow motion, he takes it and looks at it, but he's still falling in slow motion. But the kid, he catches the dead body hanging from the crane by the foot just in time. And now he's climbing up the dead body, and the timer on the watch says 1 minute. Until he farts all the nerve gas into Arnold's face, because his face is pretty much right next to the guy's ass, and he almost grabs his dick, just trying to hang on to the dead body for dear life. And he's climbing up the crane, up the dead body, while the kid's working the whole thing, the crane. And he's at the La Brea tar pits. Perfect! He's like, stop the crane now! And he kicks the body off into the La Brea tar pits. 12, 11, 10. And he has to fall with the body into the tar pit. So the body falls into the tar, and the nerve gas just gets released into the tar. And the tar splashes like it's just black dyed water. Like he just swims through the tar, because that's possible. And the kid's running and saying, everybody out, while firing a gun at the La Brea tar pits. Oh my God, this is triggering. And Arnold swims through the tar pits. He's totally fine, just covered in tar. And there's a big fart sound as the guy's nerve gas explodes. And they're like, uh-oh, is it going to burst? But no, it just goes back down into the tar. And they're like, phew. And he says, silent but deadly. Hilarious. He says, bring the car around. He's like, I can't. The kid says, tar actually sticks to some people. I remember that being my favorite line when I was a kid. And his daughter shows up in her giant pickup truck with flames on it. And she's wearing Daisy Dukes and an orange shirt, just like him, except he's not in Daisy Dukes, she is. And he wipes all the tar off of him with napkins that he has somehow. And then, okay, we're at the mansion where the bad guys live, and Benedict is there looking at the golden ticket in the kid's wallet. The ticket starts to glow, and he puts his hand through the wall, which is also glowing at his fingertips, like electric tendrils. And he says, splendid. It went splendidly, he says. And the Italian guy he works for is in the pool. And he's like, hey, everything went well at the funeral? Kaboom? And he's like, yeah, it went great. Like clockwork, he says. He pours himself a scotch. The guy's swimming. He says they were writhing and screaming and leaping to their doom to escape the pain. He's like, I've had a terrible day thanks largely to you. And he takes out his gigantic gun. And the Italian guy's like, you just did a 360 on me. And he's like, 180, you stupid idiot. If I did a 360, I would have gone completely around and ended up back where I started. That seems like a Carrie Fisher line. That is very smart. He says, if that little turd can move through parallel worlds, then I can move through parallel worlds too. He says, if God was a villain, he'd be me. He says to the butler, the pool could use some attention. And the daughter's pickup truck blasts through the wall of the mansion. The guy's Benedict sitting there with his scotch. And Arnold says, don't move. And he has a gun on him. He's like, all right, Slater, I'll go quietly. The hell you will, says Arnold. Punches him in the stomach. He's like, that was for blowing up my second cousin Frank's house. And then he's like, this is for blowing up my ex-wife's house. And he slaps him on the hand. And then he's like, this is for my girl's black eye. And he threw him against the wall. And he went through the wall because he has the ticket. He's got the ticket, Jack. That's what the kid says. He's like, the ticket is magic, see? And there's like a portal in the wall. They better go through that portal because that guy has a ticket and they can't get back to the kid can't get back to the real world if he doesn't go now. And Arnold's like, what the hell is going on? He says, if I go, how do I get back? He's like, you can't worry about that kind of thing. Let's go. And he hands him his gun. And he says, the hell with it. And they go into the real world, and they fall into the movie theater. And then there's and they see Benedict and his manservant running out of the theater. He says, "What the hell? We're in New York." The kid's like, "I know it makes no sense, but I'll try to explain it to you later." Haven't we all been there, or is it just me? Oh my goodness, the guy just points a gun at a cab driver and steals his cab. And Arnold shoots at the cab, and it doesn't explode. And he's like, "Not one would." He punches through a car window and somehow hotwires it so that now they're in like a car chase in the real world. It's like, "My hand hurts." And the kid's like, "You can't smash a car window in the real world without it hurting." He says, "I think the taxis are bulletproof." And the kid's like, "We just got to get the ticket back from that guy." See, like the guy, Slater is trying to convince himself that his reality is the real one and this is the fake one. He's like, "You can't play chicken in real life, you'll crash." He tells the kid to get out of the car, and the kid's like, "You're gonna die!" And they're gonna crash. Oh, that's exactly what happens. The two cars crash into each other, and everyone's hurt. The kid runs up to the two crashed cars. Arnold gets out. He's like, "You're lucky you're still alive, you dumb idiot." PG-13. The kid's like in Die Hard, they're not, the bad guys aren't dead. And Benedict is gone. And his butler is dead. He's like, maybe he used the ticket. Maybe it's on all the time now. Uh-oh. What world is he in now? And then Arnold sees the movie poster. Schwarzenegger is Jack Slater. He's like, this is crazy. Where am I now? He says, Danny, have you got a place I can sit down? I would be a little overwhelmed by this revelation, too. And he goes to Nick's movie theater. And he's like, did you see what happened? He's like, no, I fell asleep. He said he was in the movie, and Nick missed it because he fell asleep. He's like, Whitney kissed me right on the mouth. That's the first thing he tells him. He's like, I was with Jack Slater every step of the way. And Nick is like, wow, it really worked. He said, all this time I could have used it, but I was too frightened. I could still go visit. Jean Harlow. Monroe in Bus Stop. And he's like embarrassed that he was going on about classic movie stars. He's like, I'm a big fan of your work too, sir, because Schwarzenegger's standing there. He's like, I've never met a fictional character before. And he holds out his hand to shake, and he doesn't shake his hand. He's like, I just found out I was imaginary. How would you feel? Your job, your marriage, your kids. It's not real. Let's push your son off a building. Gives you nightmares for the rest of your life. He doesn't find it new and exciting to find out that his whole life has been a damn movie. Nick's telling him the real world's not all it's cracked up to be. He says most of his life's been movies too, because he runs this old cracked out movie house where this one kid is his only customer. He's like, can I have the ticket back? And he's like, we have this problem. Hiccup, he calls it. Benedict's here too, and he's got the ticket. That man with the glass eye, Nick says? Yes. No, but it's not a real glass eye. He says he wouldn't want to nitpick, right, Danny? And Danny's taking Jack Slater home to meet his mom. And his mom says, where have you been? But then you show up with a celebrity and your mom shuts up. The mom says, there's 9 million kids out there with guns and that's all you have to say to me? It's probably more than that today. Kid says, you know how you wished I had more friends? Well, here's Arnold Schwarzenegger. He calls himself Arnold Braunschweiger. He can't pronounce his own name. Benedict is wandering around the real world of New York in his white linen suit. And a hooker says, want to have a party? And she's not very attractive. He says, how old are you? And she wanders away. This is sad. But yeah, that kind of seems like a Carrie Fisher edition too. Take his shoes? He just saw bad guys rob somebody for his shoes. And criminal schemes in his world are much more elaborate and involve like very rich mafia people. People don't just rob people for their shoes in movies, but it happens in the real world all the time. I guess that was a big thing in the 90s too. Sneakers really started to become expensive. Might have happened before that, I'm not sure. Benedict walks up to a guy, looks like he's a mechanic working on a car. He's like, I'm sorry to bother you. He says, well, and then he takes out a gun and just shoots the guy, this random person. And then he looks at his watch, and he's waiting for cops or somebody to show up. Because that's what happens in the movies. He shoots somebody, and the cops immediately show up. Then he shoots his gun at the ground a few more times and starts yelling, "Hello? I've just shot somebody and I did it on purpose," is what he says. And nobody gives a shit because this is New York in 1993. He says, "I've just shot a man and I want to confess." And everybody's like, "Shut the fuck up." They don't say fuck because it's PG-13. And it's 2 a.m. or 2 p.m. it looks like, because the sun is out and the kid is sleeping on the couch. Did Arnold take his bed? And Arnold is talking to his mom with his jacket off, and they're listening to classical music and having breakfast. He said, and they're both like interrogating him like they're his parents. Because Jack made up a story that he's a police officer and the kid was looking at mugshots all night. Mom offers him toast and he says no thanks because his mom is getting along with his fictional character that he's brought into this world. He likes this. It's neat. He likes talking to a woman who isn't like a 21-year-old stripper. This feels like a Carrie Fisher edition. She's insisting that the kid eat some eggs. He's like, like the kid in the movie with Harrison Ford, I'm the witness. He likes the classical music that's playing because it's not hard rock music that he's heard his whole life. She says it's Mozart. And he's like, "That's the guy Practice killed?" The mom says, "Do you like classical music?" He's like, "I don't know. I think I will. Wow." He's like discovering things about the real world that he likes. He just spent all night just talking to an older woman. That's lovely. A single mom. And he enjoyed it. And classical music in the real world. I like that. So they're on top of the Empire State Building and they're talking about what Benedict's going to do with the ticket. Benedict is filling in the movie section of the newspaper with a red marker, like he's putting blood on Dracula. So Benedict is selling somebody on an idea. Oh, he got a print of the previous movie with the villain who killed his son. So that guy's still alive. And he's like, "Here's the guy you gotta kill." And the newspaper says Arnold Schwarzenegger. So he's got the villain from the number 3 Jack Slater who's after him again. That's really smart. Benedict's a smart villain. Wow, that's profound. He says, the world is what you make of it, Danny. If you want to give up and go home, go ahead. I like that. And they're walking in the rain. And the kid's very upset. And he sees Benedict coming out of Night of the Living Dead. He's like, there he is! And Arnold runs over all of the taxi roofs as they're driving in traffic, and people are like, what the hell? And he falls and hurts himself because that is very dangerous to do. And he wrenches the door off, and the taxi driver's like, hey, are you nuts? He says he's just a cabbie. And he says rubber baby buggy bumpers because he's sick of his catchphrases. He said he was in the back reading the paper, and he's like circled all the horror movies, and he's going to go and get all of the horror villains to be on his side in the real world so they can take over. And they're at the premiere of Jack Slater 4, and Arnold himself is there in a tuxedo getting out of a black Hummer with some guy holding an umbrella for him. And there's his ex-wife, Maria Shriver. And little Richard is there. And little Richard is very happy to be there. And everybody's taking pictures of Arnold. And his wife tells him, don't plug the restaurant. I hate it when you plug the restaurant. He says Benedict is going to kill Schwarzenegger because no Benedict, no Slater. And Arnold is talking to some reporters about how they only killed 48 people in this movie rather than 109, as in the last movie, so it's less violent. And then he starts talking about Planet Hollywood. And Maria Shriver's like, we gotta go. She's like, that was humiliating. I bet you anything Carrie Fisher wrote those lines too. Oh, and they think that the fake character, the Ripper, is just the guy in the costume, and he's getting into the premiere, and he's like, I'm gonna go kill the guy, and they're like, ah ha ha, he's in character, but it's like, no, he is the character, and he's gonna go murder someone with that axe. And then the actor's agent shows up. He's like, Jesus Christ, Tom. And then the actor who played him is still, it like shows up in a tuxedo, and they're like, you just checked in. And he's like, what? Jim Belushi's there. And he's like, my wife really loves Arnold. And then the Ripper actor's agent is yelling at him. He's like, what do you want to play, a axe murderer forever? Because he thinks it's the actor in costume. I'm sure that Carrie Fisher's agents have told her, what do you want to play, Princess Leia forever? And yeah, who wouldn't? Chevy Chase is there. He says, what the hell was that? And Jean-Claude Van Damme is there. He says, "Where am I sitting?" And he takes his hat off to the candy girl, and she's very nervous to speak to Arnold. Then there's the Ripper guy in the agent's coat. The kid says somebody should be checking that other balcony, and the kid goes to check the other balcony. Goes to the upper balcony. Who was that? Slater 5 soundtrack, he says. I don't know who that... Was that MC Hammer? It may have been MC Hammer, because this is 1993. That may have kept him out of the poorhouse. He gave away all his money to people who needed it. Kind of feel bad for that guy. And Arnold is there shaking hands with people in the upper balcony. And Jack Slater is looking out for him because that's his doppelganger from the real world. And if Arnold dies, does Jack Slater die? Well, there won't be any more Jack Slater movies. Ah! He says, "Everybody down," and he takes out a gun. And he shoots at the Ripper, but the real Arnold tackles Jack Slater, and the Ripper takes the axe and slides down the curtain with it. He says, "Get the hell off me," to Arnold. And there's 2 Arnolds right there. He says, "You're the best celebrity lookalike I've ever seen." And the kid slides down a pole that's conveniently there. He's like, "That was cool." And he's just like, yeah, I'm an action star. And the Ripper's there, and now the Ripper has the kid. Wow. Arnold turns to himself and says, "Look, I don't really like you. You brought me nothing but pain." That is definitely a Carrie Fisher line. Oh my God. Somebody tell me if I'm wrong, but, wow. And it's like a replay of the thing from the beginning where the Ripper has Danny, but this is the real world. But he's got the axe on the kid's head. Tells him to get rid of his gun. And the bad guy's just like, how does this go? I put the axe down, you throw the gun away, because he's getting bored. He's going to skip to the end, and he throws the kid off the roof. And he looks very happy, and he throws the axe. And Arnold takes the axe. And the Ripper's like, "Come on, come and kill me." And he's leading him towards the edge of the roof, but then Jack cuts the electrical wire, and that lights up it electrifies all the water on the roof and electrocutes the bad guy, and Jack's up on the ledge so he doesn't get electrocuted. And this guy's wearing chainmail, so yeah, he's fucked. And he says, "I'll be back," as he's dying. And Arnold says, "The hell you will." And you hear the kid saying, "Jack, he's alive." He says, "Danny, I'll be right there." He's hanging by like a gargoyle thing. And Jack takes the axe and he cuts a wire, one of those live wires that just killed that other guy. That's what he's using to save the kid. He says, "I'll be right there." It is really fun imitating Arnold's voice. I know people do it to make fun of him, but he talks in a funny way. It's not just that he's Austrian. I think he's just got a weird way of pronouncing words. California. And he tells him, "Just reach out your hand, I'll save you." And the kid's too afraid. He's like, "I will catch you. Believe me, I will catch you. I will catch you. Give me your hand." And he's like, kid's like, "I'm from the real world. This doesn't always work." But no, he swung the kid up on the roof, and because he is still an action star, even if he's in the real world, he believes in himself. That's why he saved the kid. You got to believe you're the hero in order to be the hero. And we all can do that. Everyone can do something heroic on any scale. He says, "I think my shoulder's out of the socket," because he gets hurt from doing things like that in the real world. And Benedict's there shooting at them. He says, "Give it up, Benedict." He says, "I think I can manage to avoid them. I've got some explosive surprise for them." Oh, he's telling the plot because he's a movie villain. Dracula? I could get King Kong. Or Freddy Krueger. Or Adolf Hitler and Hannibal Lecter. Can you get the springtime for Hitler one? He says, "Here in this world, the bad guys can win." That's very true. Trump is president. But Hillary is kind of a bad guy too, so it'd be nice to have a woman. I ship a Kamala Harris Buttigieg ticket. We'll see what happens. And then he shoots him in the chest. Does he have his Kevlar vest? I don't think so. And the kid runs at the bad guy with no weapon. And the bad guy's holding an umbrella, and the kid is just crying. Or is he faking it? He's saying, "Oh, you broke my arm." And he's like, "Fuck you." He says, "Jack, bad guys can win." He's holding an umbrella as he's loading his gun. And the kid kicks him or something. Yeah, he did like a flying kick at the bad guy, who's now strangling Arnold, who's been shot in the chest. And then he hands him a gun, and he's got the ticket. "No sequel for you," he says, as he shoots him right in his glass eye, which explodes. And he's like, "The ticket! But what about the other half of the ticket, guys? If this movie had women..." The ticket falls in front of Ingmar Bergman's The Seventh Seal, and death comes out of the movie screen. Oh, wow. People start yelling because death's coming out of the movie screen, and Arnold's being taken to the hospital with a gunshot wound to the chest. And he's dying because this is the real world, and when you get shot, it hurts. And the paramedics look bad, like it's bad. And they're like, this is just take him home, take him back to where this is just a flesh wound. The kid says, don't you understand? We got to get him back to the movies. And he has a gun, and he says, I said, turn around. He is, and all the paramedics get out and run away. And she's like, that's right, they always run away. And the kid, the 13-year-old kid, is now driving an ambulance with a dying action character in the back towards the movie theater. Well, death has come out of the movie screen, and he's wandering out of the movie theater from Ingmar Bergman's The Seventh Seal. Very good movie, too. You should watch it. Maybe I'll do a transcript of that one when I'm finished with my next script. And death is just wandering around. How are they going to get death back into the movie? Can't he, like, touch you and you die or something? And the kid is driving the ambulance. And he drives it right into the movie theater that says Jack Slater. And this is when he thinks to get the other half of the ticket. And Nick is not upset that the kid just drove an ambulance through the front of his movie theater. But Nick isn't a very good businessman. And he pushes Jack out on the stretcher. He's like choking from like a punctured lung or something like that. Because it's fucking scary when people get shot. And this movie highlights that. It's like it's fun in an action movie when, nobody who cares about dies. But in the real world, when somebody gets shot, it sucks. It's not fun. It's not a video game. It sucks when people get shot. If we had a world where no one got shot, it really wouldn't be that bad of a world, right? Even people who own guns think that people shouldn't get shot, right? And death is approaching. And the kid is holding on a gun on death, and he's like, this one stays. Because he loves him. He's his favorite action hero. He stands him so hard, he's standing up to death, trying to save Jack Slater. Go, Danny. Death says, you die a grandfather, to the kid. Aw. Death says, I don't do fiction. Sorry. You're a very brave young man, says Death. Unfortunately, you're not very bright. If I were you, I might be looking for the other half of the ticket. Duh! It took Ingmar Bergman's death for you to figure that out. And all the tickets are gold, so he's trying to find the right one. The kid took another flying kick at the ticket box, and he found the other half of the magic ticket. Yeah, that kid was dumb. And I remember seeing this in 1993. I think I was 7. And I was like, this kid is stupid. From like the time Benedict had the ticket, I was like, what about the other half of the ticket? This is why girls should be in more roles, because they're smart in movies. They should be anyway. There should be more smart girls in movies. I'm working on it right now. And then they start the movie. The kid is smiling. He says, "Let's hear it for Houdini," Nick says. And then the police chief is yelling because even though he fired him, he wants him back. And I guess this is the end of the movie. There are women dressed like strippers walking around. Not that there's anything wrong with stripping. It's just like, oh, and the cartoon cat is there. Yay! Danny DeVito cat. Hey, Doc. He goes to find a doctor because he saved his fur. And Danny says, "I'm not going to leave you." And he tells him, "Listen, I'm just imaginary. You have a real life." And Danny says, "I need you." He says, "I need you to be out there to believe in me." He says, "You have your whole life ahead of you." And pimples and premature ejaculation. The portal is closing. He's scared he's never going to see him again. He says his catchphrase, "Whoever thinks that is making a big mistake." And the magic of the ticket is wearing off, so Danny has to go back into the real world as everyone helps. There's a doctor in a lab coat in a police station, and he saves Jack as the kid goes back through the portal into the real world. The doctor's like, "What is this, a joke? I wouldn't even call this a flesh wound." Because it's a movie again, and he's fine, even though he got shot in the real world. And the kid and Nick are standing in the movie theater. Nick looks proud of the kid. And then Arnold punches through the glass of the chief's office. And the chief is yelling as Arnold's smoking a cigar. He says, "Put a sock in it." He says, "Stop shouting at me. I'm not deaf." He says, "I'm the hero, so shut up." And he winks at the screen. There are people writing our lives, is what he says. You know who is writing your life? Carrie fucking Fisher. Princess Leia was writing your life, and she's not even credited on this movie because she didn't want people to see Princess Leia's name on the titles. That's what somebody on Instagram told me anyway. And that's very unfortunate. I wish that Carrie Fisher had gotten credit for this movie being so good because it's great, it's hilarious, it's heartfelt, there's a lot of philosophical meanings, and now we're watching Jack's convertible drive into the California sunset with the palm trees and everything, and he waves. And that's the end of the movie. Directed by John McTiernan. Screenplay by Shane Black and David Arnott. Story by Zach Penn and Adam Leff, so written by a lot of men. And doctored by Carrie Fisher. That was Last Action Hero.